Hello, it's June 5th, Wednesday, June 5th, and we are live from FreightWaves, Future of Supply Chain. We just wrapped everything up there. We have a crew of people here. We have another crew of people from Home Delivery World sitting out there. We'll bring them in here in a minute. Not quite yet. So we're going to try a whole bunch of new stuff out here today. But real happy to have a crew of people. We're going to have another person showing up here as soon as they're able to. But let's real quickly pull in our folks that are sitting live at Home Delivery World, just so we get everybody on, and then we'll do some
our field correspondence.
Our field correspondence at Home Delivery World. So once again, June 5th, this is season 2, episode 25 of the Driving Forward podcast. And we have Mike Turner and Zack Barnhouse out at Home Delivery World. Can you guys hear me all right?
We can. How you doing?
We're doing well. How's things going in Philadelphia?
Going good.
Yeah.
A lot of people, a lot of activity.
You got to talk louder.
Got a lot of activity. I'm using
Sounds like a lot of activity around him.
Yeah, that sounds like a ton of activity around you. So I'm not sure.
Yeah.
we got the thumbs up.
Perfect.
Yeah, there you go.
Let's do some intros here and have them figure out their. You guys might have to pull your mic closer to you or your phone closer to you or something. So let's do some intros here. We have, is it Marut?
It is.
So Mike Marut with Revenova. You handle marketing communications.
I do the marketing communications day-to-day efforts there with Revenova.
Excellent. And tell us a little about yourself.
So I'm just a year into the freight brokerage and freight world, actually. Yes, I've joined. I'm in it for the long haul. But previously, I was a TV reporter. So kind of the skills for writing, video, kind of translated well to marketing. It's been a bit of a learning curve for the freight industry, but it's been awesome. Love being here. Love being on the podcast, coming to these shows. It's been great.
A full year in. So yes. You're either going out soon or you're in forever.
Yeah, exactly. I've heard that. And I think I'm going to be in forever. That's
about day 367 is when you decide.
So like 2 weeks.
Yep. There you go.
Exactly. So welcome to the industry. Glad to have you. And that's an interesting background coming from reporting into transportation logistics. So how did that step? I mean, marketing, I understand.
Right.
Specifically, the transportation logistics, did you kind of fall into that? Or
so long story short, I saw a job application, threw it out there, was kind of logistics adjacent in my reporting life, because when I worked in Austin, Texas for the local news, I made my little niche or beat, if you want to call it that, with manufacturing. So was still seeing a lot of supply chain activity kind of from that side, especially during the pandemic. Did a lot of stories there on a regular basis. So it was supply chain adjacent and figured logistics is right there. Mm-hmm. Seems like a good fit. And so far it has been.
I think we might have a Danielle at the door. Do you want to?
Yeah. Okay.
At least I heard a soft knock. So, and
Danielle might be one to give a hard knock.
You think so?
Yeah.
You might know we're. Am I correct?
Wrong.
I am wrong. Mm-hmm. So fair enough. Well, she said she's on her way.
Okay. Oh, good. Good.
So I wasn't sure, but she did post that she's on her way. So we'll try. You want to try bringing Mike and Zack back on? We'll see if we get better audio now. So you guys want to try talking again? Or are we going to struggle?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now, Nick?
Now we get the remix.
Now we get the staticky, but we heard you a little bit. So.
Oh, come on! You got nothing over here.
I can hear Zack. Zack's.
All right, Mike's out of here.
We need to get you guys set up.
I'm trying to talk through this little.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
How about that? Is that better?
It works okay. So I'll have to get you guys set up with a road thing. How's
Man, home delivery world's been crazy. We got about 150 different vendors here. This exhibit hall is just packed right now. I mean, we got customers coming here coast to coast. There's been just a great turnout. Lots of awesome speakers that we've been hearing. We heard from Daryl from Target, who's heading up their final mile integrations over there. You know, people like Nate Schutz, Blue Dot is speaking here. We're extra special to see him. And then one of the guys that I like the most to see is Will Graylin. He's the CEO of Indigo Technologies. I mean, this guy is, I mean, hands down genius. Is you know, one of his last projects was just this small thing called Samsung Pay. So, you know, he's in the market. He's coming out with some lightweight EVs and really kind of taking over that sector for final mile deliveries.
Lots of activities. You did get to hook up with Nate Schutz as well, so that's good. But lots of activity. Do you have an idea on attendance at Home Delivery World?
I
It's 2 days, so some people are coming.
Can't hear Mike. I give up on Mike.
Turn it down. Get out of here.
what Mike was saying is that we don't really have a good ballpark since it's a 2-day event. There's a handful of the registreds that haven't even shown up yet. But I mean, judging by what we've seen, I'd say ballpark like 3,000 to 5,000 here.
Okay. Yeah, that's well, 3,000 to 5,000 is a big spread, but we'll take the 3.
Yeah.
We'll take the 3 and run with it. So that works. But and if it is, yeah, like you said, it's always hard to say. You know, when we're at Manifest, it's hard to say if you're at 3 or 6 because you know it's so spread out. 150 vendors, that's a lot of vendors to manage. So
It's a lot of vendor space.
Anyway, all right. Well, what else do you guys have to add? Otherwise, we'll continue moving through it. You guys can hang out and participate if you want. Audio challenges aside.
Right.
Saw that some of our clients.
Yeah. So just translating here for Mike, but you know, we've got some of our current partners and current customers here, so it's been real nice. Had a good job being able to reconnect with them, seeing them around, and maybe drumming up some additional business here to keep moving forward.
All right. Well, sounds good. We're actually gonna drop you guys because your audio sucks. So thanks a lot, guys.
We're a tech company. We can't have that.
Next time we'll send you with broadcasters. So yeah, down. So all right. It was good to get the update on Home Delivery World. Apparently that's where everyone is at this week.
That makes sense now. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. You know, thousands of people there. You know, there was four major conferences this week. So just put that one out there. That's Home Delivery World's one of the big ones. So we're kind of going around this circle here, and Danielle showed up at the same time. So, but we made it past Mike, and we'll go to Chris and the amazing Mrs. Chris, which I'm sorry. So Mrs. Indy. Yeah,
Mrs. Indietrucker Miranda.
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 So
Mrs. Cindy sounds like
Mrs. Indietrucker, that's what I got. Yeah.
So
I'll take it.
so you know, go ahead and do an intro. Chris has been on a bunch of times, but so feel free. And we've had a bunch of people say hi, Indy. So Jeff says hi. So.
If you don't know me, Chris Thomas, Indietrucker on the social media. I'm an owner-operator trucker for Autumn Transport. I've been driving for 19 years. I've spent 11 years in the same truck, which is kind of a rarity in the trucking industry these days. And I'm kind of a guy that just shows up at these weird events now. It just seems to be the new thing that I do. But, just here in Atlanta this week, catching up with some people I knew, met some new people, here's some new ideas out there. And I'm blessed to be able to do this because a lot of truckers can't do that. They can't get out of the truck and go explore what other parts of the industry look like. And for me, it's a real fun time, and it's a paid vacation in a way by my company, which is me.
And with a pretty cool business partner too.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I am Miranda. I am the Indietrucker. It's how most people know me because most people know him. I'm totally outside my realm here. I'm actually a second grade teacher. Been doing that for 18 years. So, so school's out and I'm the tag along. I'm like, I'm his vice president because that sounds better. Yes, right. I really learned a lot. It's been kind of a very different experience, but I really had a good time, shockingly. So
Awesome.
Welcome to the world. So, I know you've been in the world in some way, shape, or form for a long time, but welcome to the new world. So it's been fun to watch Chris develop this side of him over the last, 10 months. So I know you were doing other stuff before that, but we met at F3, and he's kind of doubled down since then. Well, more than doubled down. So it's been fun to watch that happen. So always enjoy interacting with amazing and talented drivers that are just looking to bring forward and better the industry. So, and Chris is a champion of that. So it's always great to have Chris around. So Danielle, it's great to meet you in person. So yesterday we've interacted probably more than I can count, to be honest with you, online. So in some sort of adjacent fashion here and there over some time. So if you don't mind, tell us a little about yourself.
Sure. I'm Danielle Chaffin, Solutions Sales Engineer at Revenova. I like to say my title is pretty dynamic. Depends on who needs what.
Yeah, that's
At the time.
You're the stuff organized.
Yeah, exactly. I've been with Revenova for 5 years. I was at a freight brokerage for about a year. Heavy produce book of business, so that's why I only lasted for about a year. It's very stressful. And I actually went to college for social work. I have a master's in social work. Why did I go that route? Because I grew up in transportation. My grandfather and my father are both drivers. My dad's on an executive team now, but promised them I would never be here. I know. And so here I am. Like every third generation in transportation, I have a master's in social work.
Fair enough. And it works well for you. So, and sorry if I didn't catch that. I was trying to deal with some interaction on the podcast here. But how long have you been with Revenova?
5 years.
5 years. So how long has Revenova been around?
10 years.
10 years.
As of this month.
Yeah, in like 2 weeks, we're celebrating our 10-year anniversary.
Our birthday's coming up.
Our birthday has happened, technically. We haven't announced it yet.
Oh.
So we just
Okay.
So happy birthday to us. We
Yeah.
just turned 8. GLCS is now 8 years old as of June 1st.
Yay.
Happy birthday.
Congratulations.
So we started interacting with Revenova almost immediately. So when we started probably the second year that we were in business, maybe somewhere right around there. So with one of your larger customers. So so we've been very well aware of Revenova from many years ago. So
Do I really need to do an intro? Or do we need to do this?
do
Do I need to do an intro?
no.
Do it for me. We met in person yesterday?
Yeah, that's true.
Go ahead.
That's true.
Yeah.
All right, I'll do it. What up, Internet? Robert Bain here, strongest man in logistics. GLCS, good to be back as always. This is my usual intro that I do on all the videos, but also I just like to say, what up, Internet?
Yeah, fair enough. So strongest man in logistics.
See, that was great. I love that. Thank you.
What the Internet says, though, it probably shouldn't for a little while. I'll actually finish the damn meeting.
Just managing comments. So some external, some internal.
Nothing.
Trying to be aware of what the heck's going on. So so really kind of opening this up. I appreciate everybody jumping on. Lots of times we go live from events. We opted to do this from the room largely for technical issues. So just happy everybody was able to come on. I'm trying to also be cognizant of the camera. So what was your guys' take of the future supply chain?
I thought from a vendor perspective that this is a great show for us to be seen at.
Mm-hmm.
Love being here, seeing other vendors, our partners. In that respect, it's an awesome time.
Mm-hmm.
This year, a little bit slower than maybe we anticipated, but overall, had some good traffic, decent traction. We got to do a rapid fire demo that Danielle killed it on.
Absolutely crushed.
Knocked it out of the park.
Absolutely. Yeah. So the home run, as they say. And so, loved doing that. But otherwise, I'm shocked it's over already. Actually,
Went fast.
It was
That
very
it's like it felt like that.
yeah.
I guess a follow up. So you mentioned that it was maybe a little lighter, a little slower. Do you think the interactions there were a little more impactful with the people you were speaking to because of that?
Yes,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
You usually can't hold long conversations
Right.
because of the traffic.
Right.
And there's people waiting, and you don't want, if I'm coming up to your booth and I know that people are behind me, I want it to be quick.
Right.
I don't want to be that person.
And I think we noticed that as well. Like the interactions were a little more deep, a little more meaningful. We spent a lot more time, which was great to have that extra quality time with people.
Exactly. I was going to say quality over quantity.
Yeah.
For sure. That we got to really kind of dive deep into these conversations. In some respects, if it's prospects, what they're looking for.
Yeah.
If it's a partner, like, hey, how are we doing? Kind of reconnecting.
Go get dinner. And
Right. Yeah. So, it was really, really high quality stuff.
yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
Chris, what's your thought of future supply chain?
Yeah, so it's this is probably like my third big kind of industry event after Future Freight and Manifest, and just this one's a little bit different. I think everybody's a little subdued, worried about the market, hoping that there are some green shoots, as Craig Fuller put it, UPS's manager, and we all hope that is indeed the case, that this is the true bottom of the market. It's an interesting thing. There's not a lot of drivers come to these events, and it's an issue. More drivers should get out. Companies, you should send your drivers. Take your driver out of the truck. Pay them to come to an event like this.
Yeah.
Put them up in a hotel. Let them feel like they're a part of the industry, not just stuck in that truck all the time. And companies that come to events like this, you need to hire those drivers. I talked to a lot of, that was a big comment, like, a lot of the management have no idea what it's like in that truck, what's going on in that truck. And that's the only way you find out, is getting somebody from behind the wheel into your organization.
We talked about that at lunch with Justin Thomas, or Justin, sorry, his name right now. Martin, thank you.
Martin.
That exactly, like, hire people that are in the truck, but also like the ride-alongs too are important. Like,
Sure.
so ultimately people may still want to be in the truck, but there's a lot of advantage to being, behind the windshield and seeing what they see and interacting with the world the way that professional drivers do.
Yep. Yeah, you're leading into, you're going to force me to talk about nothing with trucking. So I said I was going to not talk about it much on this one and just try to stick to other stuff. But
And Chris goes,
and Chris goes off the diving board. So without even knowing, which is why we'll have to stick around and talk more about it, maybe, and just record it. But yeah, I agree with you. More driver interaction. That's not to put the freight movement spin on it, but I might as well just call it out. June 20th, freight movement events, Eagan, Minnesota, sponsored by TA Dedicated, which I won't say anything about yet. But TA Dedicated is sponsoring a event in Eagan, Minnesota. So if you live in Minnesota, anywhere around Minnesota, if you are involved in transportation, if you've ever been involved in transportation, look it up on LinkedIn. We don't have the website launched yet. It is coming soon. But look it up on LinkedIn. Sign up for the event there. I think we have 50 spots left. There's 100 available, so there's a little less than 2 weeks to sign up. and they are going fast. We had actually we have less than 50 spots left. I think there's a few that just signed up the other day. So I don't know the number exactly, but we do have to cap it at 100 just based on the space. But it's largely just to celebrate the industry. So like Chris had said, getting drivers together to talk with company CEOs, getting technology companies to be able to talk with drivers, with other companies, those type of things. So sign up for it, come visit. We'd love to have everybody check out the event. It's free cocktails and some free food at a great venue right outside the Mall of America. So to your point though, Chris, getting more drivers out, I think is an excellent opportunity. There needs to be more influencers like yourself, more people that are creating positive messages throughout the industry. So moving through the statement around, everybody kind of brought up market, and that was the discussion, I think, of this conference for the most part.
Well, this one also the one you attended earlier this week too. That was a big point.
Right. Everybody that comes up to me, that's the first question they ask. What's my opinion on the market? I've been in the industry 28 years and have managed large companies and a variety of different divisions within companies. And, so that's typically the first question that I get asked is, I think we have Mike back too. He's now left the building and he has better audio.
Sure, Mike. No problem.
We can try him back in a minute, but everyone typically hits me the first question right now of where are we at, and I pay a lot of attention to the economists that are out there and what they're saying, and the general message across the board is 2024 is not looking good, and 2025, at least the first half of it, isn't looking good either. And my general take on everything right now is just the same indicators that I've always looked at for the past 28 years. None of them look wonderful right now, and everyone at this conference was talking about that. So you guys being a tech company, are people asking you the same question? How are things looking for you? Or what are your customers saying around market conditions? Or
I know Danielle and I weren't in every conversation together or anything, but I think for me it was almost the opposite, where I was asking them, like, hey, how are you feeling? I sit in an office, like, it's not the same as having boots on the ground, people in trucks, right? I mean, so I asked anyone who came up to our booth, how's it going? What do you think? And a lot of the conversation revolved kind of around that same concept of the loads are, at least for some of the prospects I've talked to, the loads are there, the volume's there, but the market rates are not quite, at least not what it was. And, they're hoping for 2025 to kind of pick back up, but that's kind of the conversation that I was having. I don't know, Danielle, if it was similar for you or.
I don't think I've been in this conversation actually.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
No, that's solid.
Yeah.
Indy, what's your thoughts on that? You're running bulk, so you're kind of in the different scenario.
So
stuff's more sustainable.
Yeah, I feel like it's muted probably a little bit, from my perspective. I'm doing fine. We did fine. So the reason I got into bulk in the first place was, I come in through the 2009 freight recession. It was really bad. Like we're talking, I went easy 50% revenue drop from 08 to 09. And so Autumn Transport was advertising recession-proof freight, and it was true. They were doing really well. We went through a different kind of recession later on as the frac boom and bust kind of happened, and the market was flooded with a lot of extra capacity of sand cans. And I think that shook out after a while, and people realized that people that can haul sand can't necessarily haul everything else as well, with all the nuances and stuff. But I feel like even Autumn's probably been a little bit conservative and not doing too much. That the company's run by a really great staff and leader who recognizes the market. She grew up in the market. So hopefully things kick up, but just from what I'm seeing, the typical trend is not as busy as it usually is this time of year. So maybe by the time I get back to work after this week, maybe things will shake out a little bit better. But the basic thing is more trucks need to leave the market, unfortunately, and it's just this vicious cycle of burning through drivers. And you hope they always come back when the money's right, obviously, but I think we're going to see a lot of more exits out of the market this year on both sides.
I agree with that. Mike, can you hear us now?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, there you go. Wow. Yay. What are you hearing at Home Delivery Bros? Oh, that's a big smile right up in his face.
I gotta blame that on Zach's earbud. He gave me one of his earbuds, and clearly it wasn't the one that had the volume on it. Because
it's bad tech. It's bad tech.
Yeah, so I came out in the hall.
Definitely not operator error.
Yeah, with you it can't be operator. There's no doubt. So we were just talking about market and the last I just came from the ATA NAFC and there was a lot of discussion about market there, and there's a lot of discussion about the market here. It's literally at top of mind. How about at Home Delivery World? Is that kind of being discussed?
No, what's surprising is because it is a lot of last mile, final mile, white glove delivery type service that it's kind of specialized, right? Everybody needs that with furniture and such. So it's not. I think that's not the breakout sessions. I really haven't heard too much about market conditions and the market rate being low because
they're swimming in it right now. So
the
they're
LTL final mile side that's just doing okay, and I had that discussion at NAFC too. Yeah,
it's more so the discussions are surrounding how to digitize things and how to use technology to improve efficiencies and things of that nature, which obviously is a hot spot for us. It's interesting. One of the breakout sessions actually is Nate Schutz, actually the guy you're on the committee back in Minnesota. He had one that he put up a graphic of a survey. I think it was PwC that put it out, and it was the subject was, or the topic was, the survey was what technology, why are carriers or operations not getting what they want from technology? And 30% or the highest polls came back with lack of integrations. So it's kind of surprising that no matter what sector of the industry you're in, whether it be long haul, dedicated, final mile, it's all transportation logistics, right? So they're all feeling the same pain concerning the technologies out there, but the integration capabilities just aren't up to par.
Well, let me tell you about GLCS and our integration services as well.
Shameless plug. I just had to take a picture of my screen. So
it's interesting that Mike's talking about that. If all of us think back to like 2018, those of us who were in the industry, this sounds an awful lot like what the truckload market was like. You had the money was decent, you had a lot of volume, and people were talking about digitization. Remember, Uber Freight and Convoy were really like making a big splash. Something that was exactly like that right now in that final mile LTL sector. Not saying they're going to go the same route as 2019 truckload, but just the similarities are very
as saturation happens. Because who was it that said that? Dang it, the name escapes me. I haven't had a clue.
No, yeah.
So anyway, it was said yesterday. Things look great. We put a lot of trucks into it.
Oh, that was the great debate.
Adamo. Yeah, we throw a lot of trucks into it. We oversaturate the market. The rates go south, and then we
cut the trucks out.
And the rate goes up. This is a cyclical thing. It used to be about a 4-year path, and now it's less than that. Well, it should be less than that, but we're experiencing this COVID and anomaly that we're currently in. But that being said, with the final mile side, which also I think has taken capacity and strangely adjusted the truckload side, because you now have, and I've been calling for this for a long time on the final mile side. It needs to be changed. There needs to be a new title to it, because your LTL final mile is now completely different. The amount of home deliveries that happen today are exponentially higher than what they ever have been. Just off the charts. UPS and FedEx have just been crushed. You have all these small suppliers that you have billion-dollar organizations that are
For white glove delivery.
right, that are just doing your door-to-door delivery, and they have the most inefficient processes and no tech stack. There's no great tech stack.
I can say I've seen more prospects doing final mile and white glove than I had ever heard of needing or seeking a tech stack, I should say.
Well, because a lot of them, like it's essentially name your price. Like take for instance like an LG, right? LG works with like a Home Depot. All right, we need to get my washer and dryer at least delivered if not installed in my home. Awesome. I'm going to provide that service for you, and it's whatever I want to charge you, because otherwise your stuff's not getting in. And so when you have that type of thing, so now you want something that's going to run it more efficiently, because now I have a blank checkbook and I can do it better. Why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah.
It's extremely hard to figure out the tech behind it too, because it is so boutique. It just doesn't fit right. So anything that exists in market today is very difficult, because what one white glove, there's a reason why it's called white glove, and what one white glove provider wants is not something that the next white glove provider wants. And it's hard because it emerged so fast.
Yeah, they've all been very different.
Yeah.
Well, one white glove is typically the Q top.
Fair enough. Yeah.
You guys will get that later.
Yeah.
Most of the discussions and a lot of the breakouts were on most of the VP from some big companies. They actually are more.
You might want to pull your phone back away, but actually put it back just for
He's the grandparent saying, "Is this thing on? We get it.
Okay.
We're just trying to call our grandchild."
We're gonna have
the preview. It's like right.
Yeah, it is. It's weird because I'm sitting down on the floor and I'm holding the camera, so I feel like I'm like.
Yeah. Actually, I'll give you a trick. Turn your camera sideways. Turn your phone sideways. It'll stabilize that concave thing when it happens. So there you go.
Like the fishbowl view or whatever.
Awesome. I will have the recording of it later.
Probably on his Android, that's why.
Yeah. Fair enough. Go ahead though with your comment. Sorry, I was just
actually an iPhone. No, so what some of the discussion is on with some of the shippers that are looking to find more efficiencies in their final mile with their trucks, or they're looking for electric trucks and things of that nature, things that reduce their cost, to deliver some of those final mile products. So it's that's what it seems like most of the discussions are on, and a lot of companies that are manufacturing trucks that are more efficient and things of that nature, that a lot of the people in attendance are interested in.
Well, if you're trying to reduce cost, the electric truck's not going to do it. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, that doesn't sound great. Any numbers MC? Well, no, actually, the heavy duty electric trucks are the ones that have the bad ROI. The mid and the smalls don't look as bad, or mid and light duty. The heavy duty ones are the ones that really suck. So
I just get concerned about the grid. Like we've shown the grid is not ready for that kind
of thing. Atri has a great study. I was talking with them, and they had. I've seen it. Well, we've been through a couple of different presentations with Atri now, but they have a great study on just the impact of the overall grid. It's like $1.6 trillion, and that does not include the purchase of the trucks. $1.6 trillion just to add the charging stations, adjust the parking, and that's current parking.
And is that adjusted to the output of the grid?
That does not include the power plants either. So, and to flip, I think one of the statistics was for California to actually charge all of its trucks. So if it went fully EV, for California to flip fully to EV, it would take 50% of its output capacity and energy today. So it would take half of the power in California to flip every truck to it. So
they had to increase 50%.
Just to cover the truck.
Yeah, just not including like, hey, I'd like to have AC one day.
Correct. Well, right. And actually right now there was just a article the other day saying it's too hot in California, don't charge cars. So
Too hot, don't charge your trucks.
yeah, exactly.
Great, it's
So,
now late.
So, okay, so don't charge your cars, don't buy gas vehicles, so stay in your homes, be quiet.
and
Got it.
the
Okay.
big push is renewable diesel. So that's what everybody's kind of talking about right now is the renewable diesel, which I'm actually curious about. I haven't read a whole lot about it, but
we used to call it biodiesel.
well, it's not biodiesel anymore. It's
Recycled oil.
So it's a different. It has no negative qualities to bio, but the refinement process is more expensive than regular diesel. So, but we'll see where it goes.
So is the energy sector just constantly reinventing itself, or just throwing stuff against the wall and see what sticks?
I think we get a little bit of all of that. Yeah. What did you say, Daniel?
It's like throwing spaghetti.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I think what drives it though is the constant change from Washington. You know, we consistently have these new mandates that you have to meet this efficiency rating, you have to do this, you have to do that, and you know we don't get to settle. So
I'm gonna keep all of my first, Robert, second opinions to myself right now. We'll say those word on the street on Friday.
yeah, fair enough. Yeah, so I'm gonna start popping some questions about. These are just my nothing without trucking questions. So nothing without trucking, and these you might get flipped out on some of these. Nothing without trucking is a movement largely pushed by the American Trucking Association to sort of re-energize the trucking industry. And over the last 15 years. Acceptance of the trucking industry has grown substantially. But, you know, the trucking industry is largely under attack by lobbyists, or to put it, trial lawyers.
Goobers. Big goobers.
Yeah. Trial lawyers, by environmentalist groups, by right, wrong, or indifferent, however you want to look at it. Even if we just take at it by nuclear verdicts and look at those type of things. And as a entity, Nothing Without Trucking is putting out messages to the general populace, just saying, listen, this is what we do. And so it's saying great stories from everybody in the industry and just putting them out there. So we're helping them do that just by asking questions and seeing what responses come out of that from anyone and everyone in the industry. And it starts with that Nothing Without Trucking. So I latched onto this at ATA mid-year and kind of flipped that around and said, hey, I've been in the industry 28 years. Professionally, I'm tied to this. Jeremy Reamer and I had this discussion too. Professionally, he's tied to this. And I said, I'm Nate Johnson. I'm actually nothing without trucking. Professionally, I identify as this industry. So without this industry, professionally, I don't have much to go on. I'll be flipping burgers. So, I put together a list of questions. I'm just going to kind of wrap around the room. I know we've got a rookie who's he's just breaking past his rookie year.
Yes.
But we still have a fresh blood. But some of these things are some of these questions actually apply to even someone relatively new. So, and I think Danielle, even on your side, you'd probably identify with some of these. So the first question I'm going to say is, how would you describe? And Mike, I want you to answer these two. How would you describe the community within the trucking industry to someone outside of it?
I can start.
Yeah.
The community around transportation, logistics, supply chain is the most wonderful bunch of degenerates you'll ever meet.
Amen.
That's the best way I can ever describe it. And you'll find people from every background. I mean, you have people who started in law enforcement, didn't go into that, was a news reporter, didn't do that, school teacher, but obviously supports professional driving. Promised would never go in, already broke dad's heart, and failed professional soccer player. So like every background you could think of, even just in this room, and I say degenerate because I just couple everybody under me. And every one of us all has the same goal, and that is to push the industry forward. I think all of us have figured out that America needs two things: farmers and truckers. Those two things go away, the whole country shuts down. And if anybody ever questions why America needs truckers and why there's nothing without trucking, look at every object in the picture right now. It's been up at least twice.
Yeah.
At least twice. Everything on, if you're watching this, everything on your person has been in a truck at least twice. And so,
Danielle?
Yeah. When maybe I didn't say it correctly. When I promised my father I'm never getting into trucking, it was like being rebellious against him. Not because he wanted me not to do this. The community in trucking, I would say that transportation and supply chain is ginormous as far as an industry, but it is incredibly small as far as a network, as connections, as a community. And there are some exceptions. Majority, everyone wants to see everyone win, and is very supportive. It is very encouraging. And I would say that there are facets of it that are much like a family.
No.
functional family.
Yeah, it works. Chris?
So, yeah, everything moves on a truck, and every trucker out there is dealing with so many different situations every day. Some of them the same tired stuff. And, you know, they feel some truckers, they're just quiet about their job. They're going about their life. They're just living it the best they can. And, you know, truckers need to realize it. I think that everybody, while they don't say it all the time, they're probably very appreciative of the fact that they have the lives of convenience that every American lives now. And it's all thanks to not only truckers, but to the people in this entire industry pushing forward that. And truckers absolutely need every bit of support that they can get, and probably even need more.
Yeah.
Do you have something to add to that, or do you want to answer that question?
I mean, I can. Obviously, I've never driven a truck,
Right.
and I've not been any part of the supply chain. But being married to him, you know, I think that I kind of agree with like what a large industry it is, but how small and like a family it can be. So, you know, we know a lot of truck drivers, and, you know, I see their sacrifice. I see what he sacrifices to stay out and help us provide for our family, you know, and some people can get on board with that and some people can't. And we just kind of, you know, that's on you if you choose to do the life or if you don't. But he just does a really great job at managing family life and trucking life.
And yes, I do. I would like to say too, one of the biggest insults you can say to a trucker is, well, that sounds like a cool job, but I'm not doing that because I'm staying home with my family. Well, you know, it's one of the worst things you can say. There's many truckers out here who communicate and are still there for their families. So, you know, we're out there for the families too. We're out there pushing for our families.
And I don't feel that our family has been shorted by him being a truck driver. Like, he is still there for me. He's still there for our kids. Like, he does a very good job at managing both. And, you know, if you find that doesn't suit you, then, you know, find a different avenue, find a way to be home more, or, you know, just, I think that everybody has to find a way to make it work, and not all truck drivers are as absent as some people can make it feel.
Yeah.
It's not the 6 out, 1 back that they used to be necessarily.
Yeah, but
Even if it is, you can still maintain that home life by being present through other ways now. It's not like it was, well, when I first started driving, nobody had a cell phone. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it was hard. But I didn't have a family then. So, you know, that's different. But, you know, it would be hard to do that today without the technology. I know I couldn't do it today, so that would be very difficult. But yeah, so I mean, I appreciate that perspective. So, and I think that when we all sat down before we rolled camera, we had talked about doing a episode with the wives of the truckers. And I think that's probably a good idea based on.
I'm sure we all have a lot to say.
Yeah.
I think the wives of FreightX, man.
Yes.
I think we're gonna make that happen. I think that's definitely gonna happen. So, or someone's gonna make
See if I
that
can get
happen.
Nikki a
If not
special
us,
mention of that.
we'll facilitate it somehow. So.
Someone will appreciate the perspective, I'm sure.
Mhm.
So to restate the question, how would you describe the community within the trucking industry to someone outside of it? Mike, you're
I mean, as the rookie of the group, I agree with how kind of small but large it is. And news was the same way. I mean, you kind of knew everybody, kind of the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon sort of feel. And yeah, and from my first year here, it seems to be, if not the same, very, very similar to that, where, you know, you see a lot of the same people, whether it's on the road or online or at conferences, you know, and we're all trying to make it better together, which is awesome. So I think that having been outside the industry up until a year ago, the pandemic, I think, made everyone else who was out take a closer look, or maybe have second thoughts about like trucking. And I see it on your screen here that like trucking is the backbone of, you know, of the globe.
Yep.
But like, you know, logistics, I guess, would be the backbone of the globe, but trucking in America for sure. And I think that the pandemic made everyone else outside the industry realize it, because it was always just kind of there. And especially when you see Amazon or UPS or FedEx doing like next day delivery or whatever, it's like, oh, there's my stuff. And they're not thinking that it's been on 2 trucks minimum, you know, not to mention on a ship, on a plane, you know, wherever it might be coming from. Yeah, exactly. It's on a boat. So, I think that, you know, this community is small but large, and has kind of taken on this more of a spotlight, I guess, during and after the pandemic with a lot of grace, I guess, as well.
I kind of miss like during the pandemic when people ask, "What do you do?" "Oh, I work in logistics." "Oh, really?" Like all of a sudden it's all over the news. And it's cool, right?
Your essential workers really got highlighted.
Oh man,
Yeah.
I remember
essentially at home.
I remember having conversations during the pandemic about global supply chain adjustments, and how, and to Adamo's point, all of that's been thrown out the window.
Yeah.
Everything about restructuring supply chains and redundancy and using, you know, just getting away
Just
from
in case for just in time.
exactly. It is gone, baby.
Yeah.
It's, nobody paid any attention. Turner, what do you have on that question? How would you describe community within the trucking industry to someone outside of it?
Yeah, it's pretty much ditto what everybody said, but you know, it's obviously a tight knit community, you know, and you don't really realize how tight a knit community it is until you've been in multi-faceted roles, like, you know, from running a fleet to now, you know, being on the consulting side of it, to when you're not even working, you're on vacation and you run into a driver for another company, and all of a sudden you just connect with that person like you've known them for 20, 30 years, just because you both talk the same language, you know, because they're passionate about what they do. You're passionate about what you do. So just the camaraderie is similar to, I would say it's similar to, you know, veterans. You know, I'm a veteran, so it's the same kind of camaraderie within the trucking and logistics space, that you know, people have respect for each other. They know what you've gone through. sacrifices and things of that nature. So it's just a tight knit community.
No, I agree. It's and Danielle said it, so I'm not going to necessarily answer the question. I'm just going to kind of circle through it or reset. But Danielle said it. It's a massive industry. So statistically, just trucking alone is 8.5 million people, and that includes mid and the light duty trucks as well. But well, actually, there's even more than that because you get into LTL. But trucking, full truckload, and then some of the other components of it. It's 8.5 million people are involved in trucking through various different aspects and warehousing and that kind of thing. It's one of the largest industries in North America. 80% of the communities in North America are 100% reliant upon trucks. So a rail may bring it and get it close, but a truck has to bring it the rest of the way. So it can't get there the whole way. But that means, and I don't fully understand demographically how there's 20% that doesn't have.
I was going to say, I would be interested to know who that is.
So me too. But there is 20% apparently that doesn't apply, but 80% is 100% reliant upon trucks to get its goods to.
It's like 60% of the time it works every time.
Yeah, exactly. So, I've got a whole bunch of statistics here that I have somewhat memorized, but not completely memorized. But the overall 72.6% of all U.S. freight is moved by trucks. The rest is rail and air, and steamship, of course. But largely, it's all on trucks. So, as you said, trucking is America's backbone. It's come a long way. I mean, when I started in the industry, trucking was a dirty job. So, and it is not a dirty job anymore. So, and that's largely what nothing without trucking is about. The other thing that I wanted to ask everybody is, and this doesn't necessarily apply to the road question or how I'm going to put it, but what's one of the most interesting places? So Bain and I have been in the industry a long time. I drove for quite a while. Chris, you've been driving for a long time. But those that travel too for work, what's one of the most interesting places your job has taken you, or roads that your job has taken you? So we'll just go around the couch here again, and then we'll get to turn. And this will probably be the last question, and we'll wrap her up.
I would say for me, most interesting was probably Juarez, Mexico. Going down to see, we went to a plant down there for a customer in 2018, about 20 miles south of the border, and we'd have armed security. We'd have the same driver the whole way there. As we're driving through the neighborhoods, or by the neighborhoods, I should say, you see guys walking with M16s between the walls that are up around the barrios. And then our driver had to sit in an enclosed area, so he couldn't leave the facility while we toured the facility. Then we came back and went back through and had lunch in Juarez, and then went back across to El Paso. And one of the most interesting parts of that trip was then he told us we have two options. I can sit and wait in line here for the next 3.5 hours, and we can go through, or you guys can walk across the bridge, and there's auto shop across the border that has Ubers waiting there at all times. I'm like, well, we're going to get back to the hotel. We're going to lose a kidney. Thankfully, I still have both kidneys. But yeah, we walked across the bridge, and so I got to take a picture on the U.S.-Mexico border. But that whole trip was super interesting, seeing what we talk about when it comes to like Mexican security, when it comes to the trucking industry. We watched all of it in action right there in Juarez. But that was one of the more interesting trips I've ever taken, just in my life, but definitely for work related.
Yeah.
I can't.
You gotta say where you went.
I know, but that one kind of takes when. Let's see, most interesting. I guess maybe not so interesting, but one that took me by surprise, and I went there twice. I was a freight broker for BNSF Logistics, and they're out of Bentonville, Arkansas. So I went there for my corporate training, and it's like in the middle of nowhere. But it is a freight logistics hub, like
it is the Mecca.
Yes,
Just
yes.
Yeah.
And Walmart is there, and I think Tyson.
JB Hunt is nearby.
Yes.
Yeah.
that blew my mind. And the entire community is logistics and supply chain.
Yeah.
And again, it's in the middle of.
But has an
Nope.
airport just for that.
And the airport's
Yes.
ridiculous.
Yes, and so
Yeah.
you go to the airport and everything is supply chain logistics related.
Yep.
All of the signage, all the postings. There's like when you go to, I wouldn't even say a normal airport. When you go to a normal place in a normal community, it's like job postings for all kinds of different things, like
Right.
a Walmart job
Mhm.
or a factory job or this and that. This is all logistics and
Mhm.
supply chain, and for those companies. So that kind of caught me off guard. That's the first time I went there. I didn't realize like how unique it was at the time. I went back there for a conference a couple years ago. That's when I realized this is the exact same as it was when I was here years ago. There's something about this, and that's when I started looking into it more. And yeah, unique place.
Very.
Chris,
I have many places. After 19 years, there's really nowhere I haven't been in North America except Alaska and Manhattan. But the last time I ran into Nate, we were in Las Vegas, and maybe the Bellagio is an interesting place that the trucker would find himself. In 2008,
You'd be surprised how many do.
So in 2008, I was sitting in a truck downstairs waiting for a shipment, very expensive shipment, a $141 million painting, Picasso's Le Rêve, that Steve Wynn had just stuck his hand through recently and was sent off for repair as well. I picked that up at the Bellagio and hauled it to Philadelphia. So
He wins.
That's cool.
yeah,
He wins.
That's what you need. That's
So,
a definitely
and if you
unique
didn't
story.
know a little history of the Bellagio, that was the inspiration for the design of the Bellagio, was that painting, the La Rêve.
Cool.
Wow. Thank you.
Nice job, Steve.
Do you have one to add to this, or
I just kind of wanted to kind of piggyback off what I was saying earlier and just talk about my trip here because, it is kind of strange for me to be at these conventions because I'm not in the industry. I'm just an outsider looking in. But, getting back to that idea of family, I kind of got off on a tangent about, defending truckers and their families. But like, there really is this family of people who just network, and it's such a positive community. So I actually enjoy coming to these things because, I get to meet all the people that he meets. But I mean, I love hearing about how there are just so many people who are working towards solving all these problems. And I like to know that there are people out there trying to make the world a little bit better, even if it's just in one area that I'm not a part of, but it's kind of cool to witness. I've not got to go a lot of very cool places. I mean, I've seen some cool things, been on some nice vacations, but I have nothing to tell. I just wanted to add that. So
fair enough? No, appreciate that.
Come to Manifest in January. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah. Mike, do you have anything?
I'm gonna cheat a little bit. I went to this place because I lived nearby for work, but it was just like an opportunity that I had. There's a show on Netflix, Chef's Table, that kind of talks, different chefs, food, etc. They had a barbecue season. First episode is a place called Snow's Barbecue, Lexington, Texas. I don't even think there's a stoplight in this town. It's like very, very small.
You don't slow down for barbecue. That's good. That's great.
Right. So, and this place is only open on Saturdays.
Oh, that is one.
What?
I've seen it. Done.
Yes.
Yeah, I know the place.
Yeah.
And it is bar none the best barbecue I've ever had.
I've been there.
Oh, it's so good. So that, because of work, I lived there, went to this place. It was awesome.
The only
Right.
reason I know is because you said it's only open on Saturdays. So that's,
So
and
because
there's only so much food too.
Yeah.
They'll close down at like 2.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
They
we,
run
so,
out?
yeah, they ran out. We got there, my wife and I got there at 5:30 in the morning. We were still the 60th people in line on like a
people line up the
rainy,
night before
crappy,
Yeah.
crappy March like morning. It was wet and gloomy. But we were still like, we were not first.
because you're in Chicago.
Yes.
Shameless plug for a good friend of mine. I will take you to Big Ed's Barbecue in Waukegan. It is not quite that good, but it is close.
Okay. I'm in.
That's where our office is. No.
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 Waukegan Road.
That's
Yes. Yes.
Turner, what do you have to add? And then I'll wrap up.
We've got so many stories. I mean, anybody. I
get
can
3 decades in, you know.
I can go from Casablanca to Amsterdam to Paris. To, I mean, I got so many stories of transportation wise. You know, you know, I had never ventured. I mean,
Gothenburg, Nebraska.
yeah, Gothenburg, Nebraska. Hey, did get to fly on a private jet down to a Christmas party.
There you go.
That was a highlight. Yeah.
Yeah.
Company Nate and I worked for, trucking company. We bunch of drivers that were out of Gothenburg, Nebraska. So we used to go down there. I think it was at a truck stop. Wasn't it, Nate, that Christmas party? Were you there at that Christmas party?
Yeah, that was another life ago. That was over 20 years ago.
Many
Yeah,
moons.
no, sorry, but yeah.
But yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
So that was okay. I opened that book back up in my mind, and yeah, that's
Yeah.
That was yeah.
Sorry, we'll close it. We'll let you guys talk about it. But
All right. So
where is I've been across that bridge multiple times there, Bain.
Mhm.
Back in the old days when you could just walk across, show your ID, and get back across. So yeah.
so I have a little bit to add to this one. Then, you know, when I was being trained in as a driver many moons ago, my trainer started identifying things to me like the Purple Mountain Majesties and the Amber Waves of Grain.
Mhm.
And as I started driving across the country, he would be like, "Hey, Purple Mountain Majesties." And so that's something I've said to my kids and whoever's with me as I come up the mountains. And I say, it's, you know, as the sun's coming down and you see the mountains turn purple, you know, that's what that means. That's the Purple Mountain Majesties and the Amber Waves of Grain. And so, you know, just being able to see the United States from east to west, north to south, not only, and I've flown everywhere, but I've also driven everywhere. You know,
I've been everywhere.
I've been everywhere, man. I've not been to Alaska. So I've been to Hawaii and
How about
Alaska.
the Trail, Nate? How about have you been on the Ho Chi Minh?
I've been everywhere in the U.S., Mike. I've been everywhere in the U.S. So you know, I've been blessed to be able to go pretty much everywhere in the U.S. And I've been almost everywhere in Canada as well. So this industry's allowed me to do that, and you know, I'm grateful for that. One of the most interesting places I went to was Yellowknife, Northern Territories or Northwest Territories, in the middle of winter. And I got off the plane, and it was 40 degrees below 0 Celsius. And the guy handed me the rental car keys, and he said, "Don't shut the car off." And so I left the car on all week. So, but it was just so cold. There was virtually no trees, and it was just like a different world. It was like landing on the moon to me. There was trees, I guess, there, you know, but you're on that. I drove north a ways, and it's sort of getting closer to the tree line where there are no trees. So, but that was kind of a different world to me there. So, you know, that's probably the most unique space, and it doesn't get dark. You know, in the summertime, if you go there, it stays light the whole time. So, I mean, it gets dark maybe about 2:00 in the morning when the sun gets down on the horizon, but it doesn't actually go away. So, so it's just different. You know, that was kind of a unique experience. So anybody else, as we're closing this up, we went maybe 4 minutes over, but anybody else have anything else they want to add? I appreciate everybody's time. I know we kind of went around the world here, so
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks for having us.
yeah, no, it's been wonderful. So, Mike, you got anything?
No, you guys have a great safe travels back, and good to see you guys.
Don't tell me how to live my life.
We're gonna go. We're gonna go.
Keep zooming in, Mike. Keep zooming in.
Oh, sorry, there
That's good stuff. Hey, you got one more day at home delivery roll, right? You'll be there tomorrow.
Hey, Zack,
Zack,
cheesesteak.
you got one more day there tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
Yeah.
All right, we'll
Dangerous.
take you guys down and we'll wrap this one up then if I can find my mouse. All right.
It is.
Oh, sorry, I fought with Jeremy there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who's there? The tourist area. So like off limits.
Well, I appreciate everybody's time today. I think we had a great discussion around not only just the FreightWaves future supply chain, but we talked about markets. We talked about a wide variety of things, including life on the road and everybody's experiences. So we'll wrap this up. Stay curious, stay informed, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible. Until next time, drive forward with purpose and innovation. Thanks for watching.